And it's not the same to transmit these emotions through a device rather than face-to-face. We communicate a lot of our emotions through our body language.
So Mariana, we use devices to communicate, but what is the human process of communications?
This is to say that communications will not be replaced by devices. When we use devices, it is true that we cannot communicate in the same way for a simple reason. We don't communicate only with text. We communicate verbally. And we have to consider that on top of everything, we communicate two things, essentially, reasons and emotions. And it's not the same to transmit these emotions through a device rather than face-to-face. We communicate a lot of our emotions through our body language, the interconnection with our eyes when we do eye contact. And also we have to understand that communications is strongly influenced by culture. So in the way that we communicate in one culture is not the same probably in another one. Probably there are cultures that communicate or express more their emotions and also communicate in a more open way than others. So the fact that we still use this, the social media is not going to change the fact that communications is still being a human process.
Can you explain what the mission is of corporate communication?
Well, firstly, communications, the corporate communications department is the department that is responsible for managing internal and external communications. It's responsible for communicating in timely manner and efficiently communications, but also to observe what are the trends in the market, to communicate better with the company's stakeholders, to build a strong reputation and a brand image of the company, and also to look long-term what is going to be the new strategy of communications of the company.
So how has corporate communication evolved over the years?
Well, corporate communications, if we think after the Industrial Revolution, where consumption was particularly huge and it was produced in big amounts, communications at that time was journalistic communications. But after the modernization of society, there in the 1930s, communications start being more in the sense of what were the customer needs. So that makes the communications between the brand companies and customers more complex. Companies need to understand what were the needs of customers and also to see if the products that were produced fit in the consumer's needs. This is something that today is the more and more in deep, and this is precisely because with technology we can observe better and also to segment better the audience that the brand is targeting. This is something that is fabulous because with this we can make predictions and also observe what are the trends of the market. And that year, that was absolutely impossible.
So what's the future of corporate communications and how will it be changing?
Well, it is true that by integrating communication, we have to work together with other departments, even more than before, and also to see, understand what are customer needs, specifically because today customers are more informed. So we go also to a more diverse world, more globalized world, and also more changing. Today it's more difficult to keep a customer as loyal as it used to be before. Today we have to work more with them and to keep connection with them permanently. And this is something that communications understand today, and they must create communications in a smart way in order to maintain permanently this link, this contact with customers.
So how do we integrate corporate communication into social media then?
First of all, again, as we start the conversation, we don't have to forget that communications is a human factor, a human process, and social media is going to be part of the communication, but it's not going to be communications itself. It's good to have them because this allows to create more direct contact with audience and also to segment better the communications, to make the communications message more consistent and to tailor the message according to a particular audience. But the thing is that we cannot believe that social media will solve all the problems of communications. Communications today has a strategic role, as I said, within the company, but at the same time, to play with social media is going to be something that will enable communications to work in a more direct contact with stakeholders, right?
Well, thank you, Mariana, for joining us today in our studios.
Thank you.
And thank you at home for watching. Don't forget you can catch our other programmes by clicking on our channel. Goodbye for now.